Hello, this is Russell Van Bronklin from DyslexiaConsultants.com, welcoming you to learn how to become learning enabled. Here at DyslexiaConsultants.com, we are a specialized consulting company focusing on helping dyslexic and learning disabled, highly motivated high school and college students to resolve most of their writing, reading, and other academic concerns. What is important for you to understand is that there has been a tremendous amount of research on how the dyslexic brain functions. In particular, the Shaywitses at Yale have done a tremendous amount of research in this area. What I want you to understand is, because of this research, we now have an understanding of what parts of the dyslexic brain does not work as well as general education students, but also equally important, what parts of the dyslexic student's brain actually work better than the typical general education student. What I really encourage you to do is to visit the following website and take a really close look at the brain scan, and also just read more about the Shaywitz research. In particular, as it says here in quotes, in 2007, an fMRI is able to peer inside the brain as a person reads, and the brain imaging provides clear and compelling evidence that dyslexia is real. Brain systems for reading differ in typical and in dyslexic readers' neural signature for dyslexia. I would like you now to look at the image of the non-impaired brain. Do you notice the tremendous amount of brain activity in the back part of the brain? Now, for all you neuroscientists out there, you're not going to be very happy with this explanation, but what I'm trying to do is, for an educated layman audience, is to distill a tremendously complex theory down into something that is simple and easy to understand. So again, for all you neuroscience majors out there, this isn't exactly perfectly accurate, but it mostly is. If you look at the back part of the non-impaired brain, you will notice this tremendous amount of brain activity. This is generally the area of the brain associated with reading and writing. And as you can clearly see on the dyslexic brain, this neural activity is substantially less. This is why, as a dyslexic, we have problems with reading and writing. The simple fact is that our brain does not function correctly in these areas. So what we need to do is find a way to correct this imbalance, so that we can improve our reading and writing skills. Now, there has been a company that has been very successful in this area, especially in reading. It's called Scientific Learning Corporation, and their product is the Fast Forward family of educational products. To really oversimplify, what they have the dyslexic students do is to play an advanced video game. And over the course of 2 to 3 months, the students have a typical increase in their reading level of 1 to 2 grade levels, which is tremendous. But here's the key point. They have proven with similar brain mapping technology to actually show that the back part of the dyslexic brain, there is a considerable increase in brain activity to make the dyslexic brain look like it's functioning more like a non-impaired brain. And this is critical. They can actually change the way that the dyslexic brain functions. And a 1 or 2 grade level increase over just 2 to 3 months is significant for a lot of dyslexic students. The problem that I have is that for many dyslexic students, while 1 or 2 grade levels may be sufficient in early elementary school or elementary, maybe even middle school, by the time you reach high school and college, these are the students that we focus here on DyslexiaConsultants.com. It's just not enough. Students are generally, we found in our studies, that are highly motivated, college-bound in high school or in college, and highly motivated, that they're typically about 3 or 4 grade levels behind in their writing, and their reading can be equally as much of a concern. So what we need to do is we need to increase more than 1 or 2 grade levels, and we need to do it very quickly. So that leaves us with a question: is how do we do this? And what I'd like you to do to find the answer is to look at the dyslexic brain, and please notice the significant overactive front part of the dyslexic brain compared to the non-impaired brain. Now, again, for you neuroscience majors and scientists, this is a greatly oversimplification of a very complex theory, so it's not perfectly accurate, but it's close. What we're really looking at here is the front part of the brain that you see with a massive overactivity in the dyslexic brain is generally associated with higher ordered thinking skills. What does this mean? This means for most of us dyslexics, we have the ability to think and understand complex problems, to see solutions that others don't. And when you look at our educational system, this is not a benefit that we see in high school, nor really in college, but in essence, graduate school. And to expand upon this theory, I interviewed, when I was creating Writing Methods basic writing program, which we call Writing Methods, I interviewed a lot of top dyslexic professors who didn't go to top-notch private dyslexic schools when they were in K through 12. And I noticed this fascinating pattern. These professors told me almost to absolute perfect unison that they were generally compared to their eventual peers really poor high school students. To give you an example, one of my mentors at SUNY Center in Buffalo, Dr. James Holmes, they would not allow him to go to college, to enter any good, respectable college. So he went and he got second or third place in a national science competition. And then that allowed him to go to a good college, using, in a sense, this overactivity in the front part of the brain associated with higher order thinking skills. And in college, they said you just can't get any degree associated with English. He focused in economics and did pretty well, especially in his major, but areas that had to deal with reading and writing, he did not perform as well as his eventual colleagues. Then he entered the University of Chicago for his PhD, and like practically every other leading dyslexic professor that I spoke with, day one, top of their field, top of their class, first day of graduate school. And the reasoning here is quite simple. In a PhD program, the primary focus is, can you contribute? Can you add knowledge to the field? If you can, the sky's the limit. You're off to a great career. But if you cannot add a significant knowledge, if you cannot create something significant, chances of the student being employed upon graduation or receiving research funding is greatly diminished. This is the one absolute key skill. And this is what I found dyslexics have in abundance, the ability to create these big ideas. So I came up with a radical idea, which is why can't we use this overactive front part of the brain to correct the underactive back part of the brain for reading and writing. And more research I conducted on this, I found that the primary problem for most dyslexic students that are highly motivated in going to college or in college is not so much the reading. Teacher can read it to you, another student can read it to you, they can help you with that, or even now computers can read it to you with text-to-speech, in particular Dragon naturally speaking products. But writing is the real concern. And even talking to leading dyslexic support offices, they can teach you how to write anything, but the dyslexic students need so much practice that they just don't have the time individually to correct this. So writing was the primary concern. So the question is, well, how do we use this new theory to solve your writing problems? And the answer that I found was, we need to further understand some more about dyslexia in an application sense strictly. What is it? And what I found, as being highly, severely dyslexic myself, is that Dyslexia, above all else, is primarily an organizational problem. As you understand, as a dyslexic, we bounce all over the place. Our brain is just thinking too fast. So what we need to do is the number one, focus on organization. And primarily how we do that initially in our basic writing methods program is showing you how to write a 5-paragraph essay. And what we do there is we outline each of the 5 paragraphs, especially transitions from one paragraph to the next. And we severely limit the amount that you can bounce around. Now, once we started doing that, we found out that this was tremendously helpful for dyslexic students. Now they can only bounce around a little bit. So, to give you an example, if writing a 5-paragraph essay is like building a house with no pre-structured paragraphs going, especially with the transitions, dyslexic students might put a bathtub in the middle of the living room. Obviously, this isn't going to work, but by confining where you can bounce around, now that you know that you're in the living room, you can bounce all over the place, but you're only going to bounce around in this small little area, so that you're not going to have the bathtub in the living room anymore. Now it's just a matter of organizing where you're going to put the couch, the sofa, the chairs, the big screen TV, and what have you. The next thing that we realized is when I was creating this course with my business partner, Jeff Burns, is when you look at this, how do we take advantage of all this massive neural activity in the front part of the brain? We needed analytical content in addition to organization. So that is why we focus on the graduate records exam analytical writing assessment, which is created by the Educational Testing Service. For anybody going into graduate school, if you're going into business, it's the GMAT. For general graduate school, it's the GRE. For med school, it's the MCATs and what have you. The main issue is practically all these tests require a writing sample. So because they're now assume that you're at least a college junior, and that because by the mere fact of going through college that you have developed these high analytical skills, they want to test you on it. So that is what we use. So by focusing on this analytical content, we're taking advantage of this overactive front part of the brain to correct the less developed neuroactivity in the back part of the brain. And when I was developing this course, I did spend a significant amount of time talking with college professors, high school teachers that dealt with dyslexic students. What's the problem? And they primarily told me it's spelling and grammar. We can try to work on the rest of the stuff, but these students are so far behind, we just don't have the time to reteach them 4 or 5 grade levels of spelling and grammar that they just don't know. So most of the spelling and grammar when we teach the basic writing methods course, actually just by going through the course and going through the analytical components, most of it self-corrects. People have a question, well, how is this? How do we design that? That is much too complicated for this short introductory presentation. If you have questions on that, you can contact us. But what I just wanted to let you know is that is a major side benefit of our basic writing methods course. By taking all that together, we are able to, what I just want you to simply understand is by taking all of what I just discussed together, we're able to finally take this massive overactivity in the front part of the brain and use that by focusing on organizational problems, organizational skills, and analytical subject matter using the GRE analytical writing assessment to solve most of a highly motivated dyslexic high school and college students' writing problems very quickly, usually in under 100 hours of instruction with the writing methods course. Please visit us at dyslexiaconsultants.com, and if you have any questions on how we can serve you to help you overcome most of your writing and reading problems, please click on the Contact Us section and let us know what we can do to serve you.